So, hello everyone. My name is Nicole Pong. I'm from Lille in France. I will present the work that I have done with my PhD advisor Sylvain Malacria about the awareness, usage, and discovery of swipe reveal hidden widget in iOS. We can call them Swhidget in short for the moment. So let's talk about what is a Swhidget. It's hidden at the bezel of the screen. It can provide an important function in an application, or it can contain a certain information like exact timing a message was sent. Swhidget exists on different platforms, notably on handheld devices such as Android and iOS, devices that have very limited screen space, but we choose to focus on iOS Swhidgets for this preliminary research. So what characterizes Swhidget? These widgets have these points in common no matter how different platform they are in. First, they remain hidden under the bezel. Second, user always needs to reveal this control with a swipe gesture. They provide access to information and frequent function of the application. Sometimes it is the only access, but unlike gesture, they do not trigger any command directly. They rely on a physical manipulation metaphor, so the design is kind of in between gesture and tap and touch interactions. It's an area that is lack explored of the design space, which is interesting to study. Most importantly, they have no signifiers to inform or even to hint users about their existence. This is the main interest of our research, and I'll detail it now. HCI Guidelines advise to expose controls and use clear interface structures. It's often done with perceptible signifiers that inform users about the presence of interactive elements, which is exactly what Swhidgets are missing. Research has mostly investigated the performance of novel edge-based interaction techniques, such as menus or keyboards, but these do not rely on a physical metaphor that may help users to uncover these features. To the best of our knowledge, there are very little public data on the current usage of Swhidgets. So, against the guidelines, very few public data that can explain the situation, we start getting curious and asking questions such as, do users know Swhidgets? Do users use them? How do users discover them? And how do users think about them? In order to approach these issues, we conduct two different studies. The first one is the laboratory study that we recruit 28 participants for face-to-face observation, plus interview to treat the first two questions. And later on, a second online questionnaire allowed us to reach for 144 participants to find out furthermore in details about the four questions. These two studies have various tasks categorized in 4 different applications: the control panel, the notification center, the SMS, and also the system-provided mailbox in the show and chart. To keep the study short, we select only a few tasks in each application. For the lab study in blue, we want to compare participants' knowledge of each input method type. So we focus on tasks with alternatives to the use of Swhidget. For the online study in pink, we focus more on Swhidget to know if participants knew them and how they discover them. Our first study is the laboratory study. So we have a procedure in 3 parts: general questions, task section, and an interview section that contains demonstration. After filling out the general question about their background and experience with iOS system, participants enter the task section where we observe if they know about Swhidget before we show them. During this section, I ask participants to show me all the input methods that they know to solve the task. For instance, asking, do you know how to turn on the Wi-Fi? And then, do you know other ways to turn on Wi-Fi? I will ask the question until they don't know any. I note down the order of what they know and what they don't so that I can show them in the input method that they don't know when we reach to the interview section. Finally, in the interview section, I demonstrate all the input methods that the participant has missed during the text section and discuss with them how they feel about Swhidget in general. By this way, we can observe that what strategy participants use for their daily tasks. We categorize these strategy into 4 degrees of knowledge. The primary, as you can see, is the methods participants use first when asked to perform the task. Productive is for the methods that participants use when asked to perform the task, but not necessarily the first one. Known is for the methods that participants did not think to use to perform the task, but report knowing them during the interview section. Unknown is the input methods that participants did not use in the text section and did not recognize in the interview section. In addition, we say that an input method is used when it is in the primary or productive level for the participant and aware when it's not unknown. Move on to our results. For this 28 participants who are knowledgeable with iPhones, this is a chart showing how participants first solved each task. So the failure to complete an operation in gray was rather infrequent, with 87% of all operations completed. Primary use of Swhidgets in pinkish depends a lot on the task and participant, such as the to delete Swhidget is high, while the markers read or unread and reply a mail is low, which is interesting because these mail comments are in the same Swhidget menu. Swhidgets were the most frequent primary interaction type, with 62% complete trials. However, distribution of participants by the number of tasks they complete with the Swhidget as primary was rather unbalanced, suggesting that the preference of Swhidget is quite uneven among participants. This is the distribution chart of 4 degrees of knowledge that I have mentioned before for Swhidgets. Participants were aware of the Swhidget in 67% of the trials, but the comparison between 2 columns on the left shows that the awareness depends a lot on the Swhidget again. The dark pink is for primary use, which make most of the pinkish area. It shows that the participant aware of a Swhidget tend to use it first. However, the light pink area are big in some columns, which means that an important proportion of participants were aware of Swhidget when presented to them, but did not think about using it by themselves. So our partial answers to the research question was, yes, they know Swhidget, but unevenly, and yes, they use Swhidget when they know them. With the fact that the Swhidget is unevenly known, we want to reach a larger population and we want to know more in details how users feel about Swhidgets. So we put an online questionnaire with more detailed questions. This online questionnaire is about 45 minutes, in order to know more on discovery and users' experience using Swhidgets. The protocol of this study also have 3 parts: the general question, the text section, and the question about Swhidget. After the general questions, we pass on the text section. Our intention to this study is that we want to know exactly how participants know and feel about a Swhidget. So this time, in the task section, we show participants all the possible interaction techniques that they can do to solve the task. Then we ask deeper question on the adoption, the discovery, and the source of knowledge, how they discover them. At the end of the task, because we have shown all the input methods, we ask respondents to rank them in their favorite order. The third part of the online study is a statement evaluation to know how participants think of Swhidget, and I'll show some statement that has an effect later on. So the result of the online study, we collect 144 participants. This time, the participants are even more knowledgeable with iPhone than those of the lab study. Among 4 applications, I think this time they know an average of 3.64 of the application. This is the preferred input method from the different tasks of this study. As you can see, Swhidgets are clear favorites such as flashlight and Wi-Fi, except for deleting mail again, finding the exact same time in SMS. And this is the distribution frequency of usage concerning Swhidgets. As you can see, there are 4 tasks where Swhidgets are the most valued interaction type: flashlight, Wi-Fi, reveal notification center, and reveal control panel. Usage of Swhidgets is low on mail and SMS. Again, we collect some feedback from the participant about the reason why they did not use each Swhidget. For message arrival time is simply because they don't know the Swhidget, confirming our thoughts on the discoverability issue. For the deleting mails, it's either because they use another application such as Gmail, or because they have another habits, like they prefer to read all mails in sequence, deciding for each if it should be deleted directly from the mail view. Another interesting point is the purple color, which stands for participant who reported that they forgot about Swhidget. It remains very low. It means that once the participant knows about the Swhidget, it's unlikely to forget it. On all participant and operations, exploration of the interface was the most frequently reported source of discovery, which is 43. Followed by the accidental activation compared to others means. The final part of the questionnaire provides more clues about how Swhidgets support exploration of the interface. For example, most participants agree that when they discover a Swhidget, they play with it until they find all the possible ways to use it. They also expect similar screen layout to host similar Swhidget. On the other hand, participants were divided on the idea that having discovered a Swhidget, they should expect it can be swiped in another direction to reveal the function. In the final part of the questionnaire, we also investigate if, despite Swhidget lack of visibility, there could be some kind of logic in their design that can guide their use. Participants notice Swhidget follows a similar logic and understand this logic. They can use it to find Swhidget, but they can also notice when applications fail to follow this common logic. And this logic can get so strongly in their head that they cannot think about another way to solve the task. So our answer to these 4 research questions. The online questionnaire confirmed the answer from the first study. Participants mostly discover Swhidget by exploring the interface, and yes, they can have a logic of applying Swhidget, but they realize that this logic cannot apply to some other applications. I present a preliminary work in the study of Swhidget, which has limitations that should be addressed in future works. It focused on iOS, but other systems should be studied too. Oops. Participants are in a wide range of age, and different results could hold for specific populations such as teenagers and elders. Due to the recruitment process, participants were knowledgeable users of iOS system. Longitudinal studies should be conducted to validate what participants said in the online study, and it should also help to understand how user experience with Swhidget evolves over time. Finally, we will address the design of Swhidgets that are easier to discover, including the creation of guidelines for Swhidget and perhaps new signifierless design. Thank you for your attention. I will now answer questions.
Thank you. Yeah. Questions?
No?
Questions? No? Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. So one important point is, so your all work is subjective, evaluation. So
Subjective.
I mean the qualitative evaluation mostly, and initial. So can you go to the first study results?
The first study result.
Online study.
The online study. Okay. So the online study. You mean here?
Yes. So. Okay, so what are the takeouts from here?
The takeouts from here is that Swhidget remains the favorite, the best way that our participants use, but they are unevenly used because of their habits. Like some participants were reported, I don't use the system mailbox. I only use Gmail, which is another application which has different logic of Swhidgets.
And did you observe like how much time they actually in the widgets for particular tasks, how much time they spend, or those kind of quantitative results? I mean, how much time they spend to do a task in widgets through widgets?
No, we didn't do that because this is the first study.
Okay.
Wait a minute. No, this is the online study because it's an online questionnaire. So this is different
online,
from the first study. We try to show them all the way they can do, and we have them to rank their favorite, and this is the answer.
Okay. Yeah, any questions yet? Oh, sure. Otherwise, I will ask you.
Hello, Sunjun Kim from Arto University. Do you have any recommendation of how OS World Design Guideline to help users to discover the Swhidget?
For the moment, with these two results of the discovery, we have some more in details interview and answers from the online study too. We think that, users prefer to discover rather than learn these widgets. So I would say that learning is fun, but for Swhidget, discovery is even more excited because we have so many participants telling us that, I don't know about that. I will definitely use it. But this is the problem that they have no signifiers. So I will try to propose perhaps an answer in the end of my thesis of this kind of discoverabilities, how to improve it. Does that answer your questions?
Yep. If there is no other questions.
Yeah, you can go ahead with another.
Yeah. For example, in early version of the iOS is that if you tap on the screen, that screen bounces back to help users to discover there is some camera feature behind the sliding of the screen. Mm-hmm. So those kind of some techniques are already existing to revealing the Swhidgets. Mm-hmm. So did you plan or did you study this kind of discovery helping features are actually helping users to discover the Swhidgets?
I'm not sure if I really understand the question.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we can talk later.
Yeah, perhaps we can talk later on. Okay.
Oh, really? Okay. So any other question? Okay, so let's thank the speaker again.
Thank you.